What's up, everybody? Welcome to Huddle Up and WAIT. And yes, that was a new intro. Bobby, great find. We love it. I'm your host, Bret Lagasse. With me, as always, is Dave Stager, and we have a special guest with us, Josh Kimmel of Beer and Sports.
Sun's out, guns out.
That's all I got.
Love it.
What's going on, guys, man? Thanks for having me. This is awesome. My first, Bret, I know you from, we went to the Senior Bowl last year. That was so much fun. My first time meeting you. Had you on my podcast, Mr. What we called you? Stave.
Yeah, that's the new thing now, Bret. He saw Stager and with now Dave with the AVE. So he said Stave, so now it's Stave apparently.
Stave.
Wingate's already on. Listen, Parker's on here trolling us. I ain't taking it. Goodness, he's already on.
Of course.
Josh is so dedicated to the network. He's always on every show commenting. I love it.
I know his love for wrestling, so I'm just going to go ahead and play a song real quick out of love for him, just because I feel like it's that type of night. Bobby, here it is. Just for you, Wingate. Just for you, baby. We're going to get you on a wrestling gig. We're going to come on. We can do it. I know Kimmel and I can get you. I know Bret can do it too.
Yes.
All right, you guys are telling me I might come out with a Hollywood or a Hulk Hogan shirt on.
We watched AEW in Mobile last year. Remember, we watched.
We did.
It was Dynamite Wednesday night. I'm like, guys, I can't miss it. Can't. And then we had a good time. We made fun of it.
Was Wingate pouting the whole time?
No, I actually had a blast watching it. Josh was like, or Wingate was kind of like he was like had comments the whole time. It reminded me of WCW back in the day, man. I was like, this is actually fun wrestling.
Yeah, phenomenal show last night. But man, like we could talk wrestling if Josh wants to listen to it. Wingate, you down for some wrestling?
Oh yeah. Oh, what if Dak Prescott does a wrestling football swap like Reggie White did, or like Carl Miller did? Ooh, what if he did that? Ooh,
I know. You know what football player I could see doing it? Taylor Lewan. I just see him doing it.
Oh yeah, busting with the boys. Yeah.
So George Kittle is a huge wrestling fan.
Oh God, Kittle would be perfect.
And Bailey on WWE wore a Kittle jersey on Raw on Monday night. So it's like she's a big 49ers fan. He's a big wrestling fan. Like that's the perfect combo right there. Bailey, Kittle.
Yeah. Tony Khan has like all the Jaguars to be able to come on a show anytime he wants to, because he kind of owns them, kind of gets to go on AEW. So I mean.
Dude. I mean, 90% of wrestlers played football at some point anyway. Like most of them did. Goldberg, remember that whole thing? Everybody thought he was like a phenomenal football player. Like, no, he just
tried out for the Vikings.
Yeah, it's like those guys are just like average football players in college. They just, they didn't make it to the NFL, so they wrestled.
Barry Corbin right now.
Yep.
Yeah, he was like on the practice squad, I believe, but they're like, oh, former professional football player. Hey, but he made the practice squad. Good for him. But it's like they always hype these guys up as the only like real legitimate, like real athletes that were awesome, like Kurt Angle, Mark Henry. Like those were legit athletes. Usually legit athletes have a hard time going and transitioning, right?
Yeah, and The Rock was actually legit at the U, but he wasn't like he was like hanging on to a roster spot in NFL talent. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't like elite, but he was better than going undrafted. But I mean, yeah, I agree.
He could have been he could have been a rotational player, but he wasn't like this Lawrence Taylor second coming edge rusher he was in the Hurricanes.
But hell, I mean, wrestling, it's a great transition to wrestling because, I mean, they have the work ethic, the size, the athleticism. So, you learn the wrestling aspect of it, which is a brutal traveling schedule alone. I just watched something on The Undertaker where how often he said he was out years on end for like 11 years straight. It was like, holy hell. Like he basically was home like every couple months, and that was it for like a weekend or two. And then that was it. Then he was back on the road. Like that's insane kind of life. That's got to be hard on your body too.
Yeah, they wrestle way more than you see than on TV. But then you got to think about the ego factor, right? Like Tyson Fury was in the news with the WWE. Yep. They wanted to book him for the Rumble. And like he's like, no, I can't look weak to anybody. Like nobody can even touch me. And like, no, that's not how this works, buddy. Like Kurt Angle, who was an Olympic medalist, like he took losses. No, you can take a loss too. He's like, nah, never. So
Wingate just said Undertaker equals Cowboys fan. No, sir, no. I don't care if he's from Texas. Undertaker, just for you, Wingate, is an Eagles fan.
Is he really?
I don't know.
Is he really?
I want to know if he's actual fan of somebody.
Well, I mean, he's from San Antonio. I mean, Death Valley. I mean, come on.
He's from Texas. I'm sure you know what? He's a Texans fan. Woo! Undertaker's a Texans fan. I love it.
I don't believe anyone's a Texan. I don't believe anyone is. Just want to say that.
You're right.
Could you
be
from
Houston? Yeah, sure. I get it, but I mean, like
it's like a small part, like a small part, but not like a huge, not like a heat. Because it's a Texan. That whole thing kind of went away when the Alamo happened. just saying.
All right. Well, speaking of Cowboys, they're moving on to the divisional round against the 49ers, and they look pretty good Monday night, but did the Buccaneers look that bad? So who knows on that one. So before we start getting into these games, Dave, you got some news around the league?
Yeah, I actually just had a kind of rumor fall in my lap here, not even a couple hours before, and I didn't want to tell anyone. I kind of wanted to drop it on here. Kirby Smart, because I've been hearing it from locally here, and my guy is straight connected to old Athens. Apparently, Kirby Smart is interviewing for the Colts head coach position, and it's not being let out yet. Yeah, apparently, Jim Irsay loves how Kirby handles his team, handles himself, and it's not been by a couple people. It's been by a good amount, and apparently, it's starting to pour out of Athens pretty well that Kirby's being interviewed at Indianapolis. So
now he played it with the Colts back in the day for a whole year. And then he coached the Dolphins safeties in 2006 with Nick Saban. So he's been with Nick Saban most of the ride. I mean, he was a D-back coach with LSU for a year under Saban. And obviously Saban went to the Dolphins in 2005. So he has some NFL experience, but not a whole lot. I don't know that I don't know how he'd transition to the NFL.
I mean, look at what he did. So this is my thing is GMs probably look at him and look at what he put in the NFL last year. Georgia had the most record number of players going from their school in the draft last year, and look how productive they are overall.
That's true.
I know you got guys like Tyndall that kind of like was trying to play with a mental game. He still has his physical attributes that are there, but I mean, Georgia.
He was a backup linebacker and still got drafted. Like he was a backup to Nakobe Dean. And I can't think of the kid's name the Packers drafted. So he was a
Quay Walker, baby.
Yeah, Quay Walker. Thank you. He was a backup linebacker. He rotated with those guys and still got drafted. So that just speaks to the depth that he has built and the talent he has built and developed.
I know it is his dream job, but he's already accomplished 2 national titles too. And we all know every coach, if they want to go to the NFL and try to win the next thing, Urban Meyer just went crashing down in flames because he decided to physically assault players. But
Meyer's a dirtbag, though. We all know that.
That Ohio State jerk.
I call BS on Georgia's his dream job. I really do. No one says, "Hey, I can't wait to coach the Miners." My dream job, right?
Nobody.
Nobody's like, cool. Duke in college basketball is cool, but I'd rather have the Lakers. I'd rather have the Knicks. Come on, Josh Wingate in the chat. I mean, come on.
Well, some guys want college and love college, but I mean, I think most people dream of coaching or being some type of coach, with a position coach, coordinator, head coach in the NFL. And I think Kirby, of all the college coaches, is definitely one that could have success. But at the same time, he knows his bread is buttered at Georgia. He's definitely took over Alabama. And he's definitely shown that even if Alabama comes back, that Georgia is still a force to reckon with. So they're not just going to get run over. So like he's comfortable in Georgia, and Georgia knows they got it. So he knows that this interview, in my opinion, right now could be like, hey, I have ties to the Colts. You know, I was a defensive back there for a year. And then, you know, so I have a little bit of ties there. But, you know, this interview could be like, Georgia, you better make sure that you're paying me or get that extension ready just in case, because I might go to the NFL too. So it's also kind of like playing the hand with Georgia, like, you know, make sure you're paying me, taking care of me, because I could go to the NFL. I got NFL teams looking at me. And then he might not take the coach job, but this is just the first chance to interview him. It was a practice interview with what NFL teams are looking for. But I could see Jim Irsay because he you know, he does his own thing. So I could see
he goes outside of the box on some things too. That's the thing. Irsay's he's not a normal owner. He'll go outside of the box on some stuff.
Well, I mean, he's definitely not normal.
Remember, folks, he wanted Harbaugh. It's not the first college coach this year he wanted. He wanted Harbaugh. Harbaugh turned down Denver and Indy. So
But Harbaugh's had NFL experience as a player and coach too. So, and that to me, it does matter. You have to have played or coached in the NFL to really understand it. Yeah, it's hard to go from college head coach to NFL head coach because if you don't have the coaching or playing experience, at least for a few years in the NFL, it's hard. And Kirby Smart only coached 1 year in the NFL. How much does that translate? So that's hard to say. It's a completely different game. Even Derrick Henry was on Bussin' with the Boys. He said the NFL is way different than college, even for a running back who everybody says running back's probably the easiest position to learn. So that says a lot that it's such a big jump.
Not in that Shanahan McDaniels offense. That's a whole other ballgame for running backs. Because you got 2 or 3 different roles besides a regular running back that you got to do.
Yep. You just got to
learn the wide receiver book on top of it.
Yep. Exactly.
But other NFL news, Vikings finally fired their awesome defensive coordinator, Ed Donatel. I was hoping for an extension, but didn't happen. I don't know. I knew it was coming, but I just feel like it should have been done right after the game against the Giants because Daniel Jones was out there looking like Daniel Quarters, not Danny Dimes. So he upped his set value in that game. In my opinion, he's no longer Danny Dimes, he's Danny Quarters because Philly will probably bring him back down. But no, that to me should have been done mid-season, and the Vikings might have had somewhat of a chance against the Giants in the playoffs because his defense has just been record league horrible in the history of the NFL all season. It's like you were out there making Isaiah Hodgins, no disrespect to Isaiah Hodgins, but Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins out there was looking like Jerry Rice and Taylor running all over the field. I'm like, what is going on here? Patrick Peterson looked lost. Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith. It's time to turn the page on Minnesota for their players. But yeah, good to see they finally actually fired them. Tom Brady was asked to join the broadcast booth for the Super Bowl, folks. He turned it down. He says he's more open to return next year than he was this year. So it means he was close to staying retired. So which tells me, and a question for y'all, where do you think Brady ends up next year? Because I think he's coming back.
Oh, he's coming back.
He's coming back. I just think I can't see him in San Francisco. It doesn't make sense. Although everyone's telling me it makes sense. It doesn't make sense for the 49ers.
Yeah.
No, or with Lance. You traded up for this guy. I just don't. That doesn't make sense. So I can see the Jets, and I can see Tampa. Honestly, Tampa needs a quarterback. They have no answers when Brady leaves. They have 0 answers. Leftwich is gone. Maybe that's what Brady wanted. Maybe they'll get someone in there that Brady likes. For the Jets, this is a slam dunk. They have all the pieces. I think they're a great team. I think that they're going to be great next year if they get a quarterback. And Tom can see that, and he saw Mike Evans and Godwin and that offense in Tampa, and he said, "I'm going to win a ring there." He might go, "Man, that offense looks really good." Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, all these studs over there.
Yeah,
he could win a ring. And the defense is phenomenal. We know that.
Yeah,
so those are
defense my 2. Is really good.
Yes, that's my 2 spots. I would say
Miami.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, God, we're not putting him in Miami. Go away.
I mean, we saw the news that Tua is the starter for 23, but we also heard that Josh Rosen was their guy in Arizona. So we'll see what happens. But we do know that Ross wants Brady in Miami, whether it's partial owner and a part of the executive side or as a player. But we all knew he was trying to push for that. He was trying to push for back in 19. Is that window closed? I don't know. And then the other team I'm looking at is the Raiders because they're obviously done with Derek Carr. And Josh McDaniel and Tom Brady have done really well together. And Tom Brady's best years have been with Josh McDaniel's offense. So I can really see that, having Devontae Adams there. It's a really good receiver. Having I think – is Cook still under contract or Waller still under contract there?
So Waller's got an extension, so he's there. They also have Wes Welker 18.0 Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
So that's like a Brady magnet. Hey, do you got a little white wide receiver that can run really fast and short routes?
Well, and he's so shifty. It's exactly what he liked about Edelman and Welker. They're shifty in space. They caught the ball. They make somebody miss, get a handful of yards, and just keep dinking and dunking as an extension of the run game, enough to back the linebackers out and the running backs and do their thing. And we know Jacobs is probably going to be gone, but they had a run game even without Jacobs. So
Brady comes there. Jacobs might take a pay cut to stay there and play with Brady.
Yeah. But the offensive line is halfway decent there. So I think the defense is terrible. So I can see Brady as a match, obviously, for Josh McDaniel. But other than that, I don't know.
I don't see how that team over there in Las Vegas is more talented than what he has in Tampa. I just can't fathom
It's
that.
not.
And it's a very hard road in that division. I wouldn't want to go play Mahomes twice, Herbert twice, even Russell Wilson sucks. But in Tampa,
limited.
Hey,
in
Brady
Tampa,
already
you have-
beat Mahomes in the biggest stage in the NFL. So
Oh, I know, but Mahomes had like 0 offensive line. It was a garbage game. But
Yeah.
the NFC South is a cakewalk. It literally is a cakewalk.
Yeah.
I don't think he's staying in Tampa. I mean, nobody here in Tampa thinks he's staying. Everyone has already realized he is out the door. But this is the most logical spot, I think. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to go anywhere else. You know the system. You know you have a home here. You know the Mike Evans and Godwin and all these guys. This just doesn't make sense to leave to go somewhere else like Vegas where you have less of a chance to win.
You know, no one's talking about Brady returning to Tampa either. So that's a good point too, because it's always where is he going next? But it's interesting because he does have familiarity with everything. And then Byron Leftwich was fired. So was he fired because Brady wanted him gone? In order to get Brady back, they needed a different offensive coordinator who's someone that Brady knows. I don't know. So like that's a good point there. So we'll have to watch that whole situation. But I can see him.
He's not.
I don't think. I think that bridge is already toast. I think him and Belichick are professionally good, but I think like overall, I don't think he wants to work there anymore. But yeah, I still think the Raiders with Tom Brady, all of a sudden that offense becomes a powerhouse, and a few tweaks in their defense can be better. But that's more tying the ties with Josh McDaniels and Brady, and then obviously with Ross and his craziness with Miami and him what before, that's obviously going to be a connection. But I don't know. I think still think honestly the Raiders make the most sense, but Tampa Bay honestly is a good point because I mean it's run it back. I mean the talent is they were just injured this year.
I was going to say two that have seen him play twice a year at least each year. I'm sorry, the Saints don't have anybody at quarterback right now. I don't care if it's Jameis. I don't care if it's Andy Dalton's there. They have wide receivers.
They got some talent.
They have Alvin Kamara. They have a defense.
I said their defense is probably the most underrated in the NFL.
Pete Carmichael was doing a lot with very little in Andy Dalton last year to come in and play the way he did. And on top of that, you also have in the Panthers. They have beat Brady twice when he was playing at his highest with the Bucs. Once this year and once last year. I'm just saying, young defense, very talented wide receiver group, running backs, offensive line, and he can come in and say, hey, I want this head coach. Hey, I want this offensive coordinator.
I think the Panthers trading Christian McCaffrey and trading some of their players, I think the Panthers have already said we're in full rebuild mode. So I don't see it as a marriage that's going to work out. I don't see it that way. Although I did hear that Brady was willing to come to Miami. Yeah. I mean, Brady was willing to come to Miami when they were tearing it down. So I really don't know. Maybe that doesn't defer him. But if Brady's got one more year left or 2 more years, I don't think he wants to go to a team that's a Panther situation. But they do have talent there, and they could turn it around fast with him. But I don't know. I don't see it with the Panthers, but your points make sense. The Saints I can see.
To me, make more. Yeah. He's in a dome. Yeah. He's not we all know he likes to play inside that inside the dome or warm weather teams. Carolina still gets a little cold. I saw Josh Wingate mention the Commanders. That's not happening. He's done playing in the cold for 8 home games.
Yeah, plus the Commanders, although they're not a bad football team.
But they're a shit show for executive coaching. Yes, Bobby, I'll say it again. Ron Rivera should have got fired. Play the graphic, Bobby. I know you got it. He's he took me out. Ron Rivera should have been fired. 3 winning seasons and 12 coaching seasons. Dude, that's only 1 quarter productive.
You bit the hand that feeds, Dave. Don't bite the hand that feeds.
I'm not getting paid. I don't care.
They're right. No. So I don't see Washington either. Honestly, Kimmel, you bring up the best point of Tampa Bay. I mean, maybe the new team is right in front of us the whole time. Maybe he does just come back to Tampa Bay. It would make sense. It would be kind of anticlimactic for so many people. What's that?
Arians and him butt heads, and Arians is like a basically a GM, not a GM title there.
But I thought him and Arians got along, or did he push Arians up?
He pushed Arians out. He did not want to come back.
The coach.
And he pushed Arians out. Arians still there on the sidelines from what I hear from people.
I got you.
Arians is still there touching the playbook, doing things, being involved, so that's pretty much causing a little bit of drama. Which is why people don't think, people here, trust me, all week, in local radio, everyone's convinced he's gone, which I'm convinced too. I think that something's going on in the front office, what he doesn't like. You can tell Brady was kind of uninterested this year. Did anyone else see? I saw it.
Well, so I understand why though. So a lot of people, I'll talk on this for just a minute. A lot of people think like, oh, Brady had a bad year, he's fallen off. Maybe it's very possible. 45 years old, who's surprised, right? Mm-hmm. But mentally, I can tell you, it drains you, and you just can't focus on anything. Even stuff you're passionate about falls by the wayside. So I understand, like, from his perspective, what he was dealing with. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's rich, get over it. Look, dude, when you're talking about a marriage and it falling apart and then having to deal with, oh, shit, when am I going to see my kids? Now I got to deal with, like, okay, she's got my kids at this point because I'm playing football. Then I got to have my kids when I'm not. And then, like, so there's a lot of shit involved. And I got to go through these lawyers and divide assets and all this shit. It's a lot going on. And the only thing you care about, honestly, is that personal side of your life. You don't care about anything else at that time. So for Brady to still play, it was really hard. It was really hard to focus. And that's what I was trying to explain to people. Like, you can't focus on anything in front of you. So that's something that, unfortunately, I know too much about. I have a way more positive ending than him, so, but like, at the end of the day, like, you can't focus on anything. You have to focus on what you're working on. So for Brady, there's a reason he fell off. And in my opinion, I think he fell off because not only did the marriage fall apart with Tampa, but his personal marriage is falling apart. And that was just a major distraction. And that's why he left, because he couldn't focus at training camp. So he went home to deal with that. And, that's something that's hard to deal with. And I would think he's going to come back and finish strong. If he comes back and wins the Super Bowl, then I can see him retiring and running off in the sunset. But I don't see him retiring with all that going on. I think he wants to get through this whole divorce process and then just focus on him and focus back in football and just dive head first. And I think he's going to be pretty pissed off next year with the divorce. He's going to be very motivated to just kind of focus on nothing but football and hit the ground running.
In Tampa,
I don't trust his arm, man. In that Dallas game, I watched him dirt ball. And everyone's like, "Oh, the offensive line." I watched him from clean pockets, dirt balls into the turf, about 3 to 5 yards short. And he had Mike Evans, Godwin open. He had Julio open. The one ball he hit that was nice was the Julio touchdown. Everything else looked bad.
So I have a theory on why they didn't. Tampa Bay Byron Leftwich got away from running the ball quite a bit, and I think he threw too much. And I think by the end of the year, his arm was tired. He has what?
Tom has him saying it. Like, I don't think Byron's like, we're going to throw 66 passes. I feel like Tom's like, put the ball in my hand. Let's go. We can do this.
Well, he's throwing the ball too much, and his arm's tired by the end of the year. So that's the biggest problem there. All right. So what other news we got?
Other news. How about the local Miami Dolphins on this network fire the defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer? I've seen some people have mixed feelings because of
I can't believe he let all those corners get hurt. I'll tell you.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, how is he supposed to be able to, like, try and do it with 4th, 5th, 6th string corners at some point? And then, I mean, they went and traded and got a good player in Bradley Chubb and got Jalen Phillips in the draft, and they were showing up in pass rush and stuff like that. But the linebackers, like, he can only work with what's given too. And
he has to scheme so hard for that team to do anything on defense. That he has to scheme pass rush home because Jalen Phillips doesn't have a whole lot of finishing moves, although he's played really well. He was dealing with a groin injury all season. Byron Jones was a big supporter of Brian Flores, and he pretty much sat out all season after getting surgery. So he dealt with a lot. The backup to Byron Jones got hurt. Then the backup to him got hurt. So there's a backup to the backup to the backup. He was dealing with a lot of injuries. And down the stretch, his scoring defense was actually really good. And the team was in the game almost every week. It was just the offense is falling apart. He's the scapegoat for this season, honestly, falling apart. I don't think he did a terrible job. His scheme wasn't my favorite.
Do you think the Dolphins take a step back, guys? And Josh, I'll ask this for you first. Do you think the Dolphins take a step back trying to add in another defensive coordinator? Because it seems like it's just a kind of a carousel. Like there's just blame at certain areas going around, and there's one stability up front named Chris Greer, and it seems never takes the blame.
Yeah, I can see them taking a step back just because players a little bit older, different scheme. Anyway,
he's not going to Miami.
Get that out of here. No, look, I hate the fact that coaches change like this over and over and over and over. Not just with Miami, with a lot of teams. You don't really get a chance to build any kind of. Yeah, there you go. You just don't get any time to build any kind of player coach interaction. Look, you're only as good as your leadership. If my leadership changed every single 6 months at work, you think I'd be productive? Seriously,
hell no.
Because you would have a different procedure with every single supervisor. It's just too much change, and it's ridiculous. But he was a scapegoat. That offense was god awful. They could not move the ball, and somehow they were still in games, like Bret said. So
they won the last week because they were in the game. He kept them in the game and had a great comeback.
The playoff game, they had to come back because they forced 3 turnovers. They harassed Josh Allen. I mean, he schemed the defense to get pressure, and they were harassing Josh Allen, giving him fits, man. Fumbled.
First half, he had that glaze over his eyes. You could just see it. Josh, I've never seen that look on him before. Like he just looked like, okay, where's the pressure coming from? Usually, he was give me the ball, let me move it. Yeah.
I thought Boyer. I was like, hell, this playoff game against the Bills that we should have got crushed in with a 7th round rookie quarterback. I thought Boyer was a reason the team was in it in the first place, and the offense played like crap. Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
No, you
go ahead, Kimmel.
No, I'm done.
Okay, I just saw Josh Wingate, your buddy's comment. Let's talk about playoff teams, not the scrub teams like Miami and Green Bay. You know what? Let's jump right in. We're covering the news. Let's jump right in. Why Dallas is going to lose to San Fran? How about that, Wingate?
Ooh. You're picking Dallas.
Wow.
No, they're going to lose. I think San Fran's going to win by 10 points at least.
Man, so I had somebody at work ask me about who I think is going to represent the Super Bowl, and I was like, at this point, I don't know because we have so many good matchups between AFC and NFC, and I think the 49ers are so hot right now, and the hot team is hard to stop.
They're
and they were hot
all around the best.
Yeah, and they're like their run game is unstoppable. Their weapons are unbelievable. Like Purdy is, he's ballsy. He's fearless. So all he has to do is keep doing what he's doing. And like they're so good. And defensively, they're the most underrated linebacker core in the NFL. They have a very good defense. So I think it's going to be hard on Dallas. And I think Tampa Bay was a much easier team to beat. Dallas is a much better team than people give them credit for, but man, I just can't see Dallas moving the ball against this defense, and I don't see Dallas's defense stopping that explosive offense. I think the 49ers win that game.
I have to disagree, man. I just think Dallas is. Look, I made this point on the Beer and Sports with Josh 2 weeks ago, and I said there's no way I'm taking a 7th round rookie quarterback in a playoff game against someone like Dallas, where you have Dak Prescott on the other side. You have Michael Parsons coming at you hot. This Dallas defense is very, very good, and they can confuse a young quarterback. He didn't look great the very first half against Seattle, right? He kind of didn't. A big playoff game like this comes down to quarterback play, in my opinion. That's why all the great quarterbacks win the Super Bowls. And I'm trusting Dak over a 7th round rookie quarterback.
4 touchdowns in that game.
Look, I know what he did. I need water. I know what he did, but I'm just telling you what's gonna happen. I just think Dallas, like Bret said, they're super underrated. They don't get any kind of credit. When Dak came back, that offense was on fire. They could not be stopped. Pollard was a monster. Zeke was eating clock. And plus, CD got going this year. I called CD out. I didn't think CD was going to be an elite receiver because he was just all talk. Week 1, he did nothing with like 25 targets. And then ever since that came back, CD has catapulted himself up to the top like 10 receivers in the league.
Their chemistry is unmatched. And then Gallup is a good receiver. I know he has injury concerns, but he is he's a gifted receiver. I love watching it because he plays angry when he plays. Like, I love watching him play, catches the ball in traffic really well. He's strong at the point of attack. Like, everything about him I love. And him and CeeDee Lamb compliment each other. They had was it Josh, help me out, was it Noah Brown, the other slot receiver?
T.Y. Hilton looks like he's starting to jump up above Noah Brown a little bit.
Yeah, he has.
Good veteran.
The veteran. Yeah, good veteran.
And then you got Dalton Schultz and Ferguson, which is one of my favorite tight ends.
Took over.
He's up for a payday.
Yeah, Schultz took over that game.
And Ferguson had himself a couple big plays as a rookie tight end. So they're cooking. And their offensive line, they have this musical chairs. Tyler Smith, we actually met him in person. Really gentle, nice guy, right? I met him at the Tulsa Navy game. Dude, he doesn't play good on the field. And he has kicked from left guard to left tackle, right tackle. He's bounced around, and he's done a very good job. Their offensive line's done really well. And against Tampa, they play with a lot of energy. But this for some reason,
this is.
Yeah, and I still think that 49ers defense. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be, but I think Dallas's defense is prone to give more than the 49ers defense will. But they both have explosive run games, and Pollard has been just the beast that I expected him to be. And Ben Fennell, if you're not following him on Twitter, he's an awesome follow. He actually. I found out more about Pollard as a receiver and a playmaker that he is from his film study, and you saw him. He's just so good. You can use him however you want as a running back, as a receiver. You can line him up out wide. You move him all over the place, and he just creates problems. And I love watching him play. And Dak, Josh, you're right. Dak has really opened this offense up, and Dak does not get the credit he deserves as a quarterback. I don't give two shits that he led the league in interceptions in a short time, whatever. Dak is an aggressive quarterback, and a lot of those interceptions were deflected passes off his receiver, but they're still his interceptions. I still don't care because he's not afraid to throw the football, and he's not afraid to make that same play again after throwing an interception to make a big play, and then his legs carry it. So in order for them to beat this 49ers team, who has a really good run defense and really fast linebackers, they're going to have to play a lot of mismatches, but that defense with D'Amico Ryans is so smart.
It's
and
smart.
So
the linebackers
disciplined.
Can do everything.
I'm actually looking forward to this game, not just because we're all 90s kids and we grew up watching this rivalry and in their heydays. I'm just saying because I think it's two teams that are going to battle it out.
So go ahead, Kimmel. Go.
No, I was just going to say it on the flip side. I'm just really, really excited to see what San Fran's going to do, because if I know Purdy's inexperienced and probably can't handle the pressure, then of course that 49ers coaching staff knows as well. So I hope to see some Debo in more run plays, because I feel like he hasn't ran the ball as much as he did last year. They really need to get Debo involved and CMC and kind of take the ball away from Purdy and let his playmakers just make the plays. And that's the kind of football
that was in Debo's contract. He gets paid more every time he runs the football now. So they kind of like limit his carry. It was just a way to limit him as a running back so he doesn't get beat up and hurt, which I completely understand from his perspective. But real quick, a matchup that people aren't talking about. Kyle Shanahan does really well against his former peers, right? But he's going to face his somebody he's worked for before, in Dan Quinn. And who would know that offense better? Dan Quinn. So to Kimmel's point, Dan Quinn might have a nice game plan against Kyle Shanahan. He might know some little quirks to say, you know what, I'm going to exploit this and this, and it could change how they do things. So it's just that's going to be an interesting matchup. It makes it more interesting, in my opinion. Go ahead, Dave.
Kyle Shanahan has a past history. Whenever his former head coaches, when he was a coordinator, and he did not like them, and he does not like Dan Quinn, he does not like Mike Pettin. He goes ham in the offensive playbook.
Wait,
that's what I'm
Quinn?
expecting. No, he came out and said he doesn't like Pettin. He doesn't like Dan Quinn. He's come out publicly and said that.
So he doesn't like defensive head coaches. I got it.
Nope, he does not. And he's tried to offer fixes in the past as a coordinator, and it's completely blown up in their faces. And Kyle's like, "Okay, see, I'm going to a different team," and that's what happened. But anyways, I think the biggest thing is everyone comes about, "Oh, Micah Parsons, he getting after Tom Brady." That was a dinged up offensive line. This is Trent Williams. This is the best left tackle in the league, bar none. Trent Williams is a mean SOB. He's nasty. He has attitude. And then you put George Kittle in line with him out there, Micah Parsons becomes nothing. Like, as talented as he is, George Kittle is one of the most ferocious blocking tight ends out there in the league. They're going to move Parsons around, and I get that. But
hey, he's the most ferocious blocking tight end I've ever watched.
Oh, there's a couple more out there. Hey, there's a couple more out there I remember as blocking tight ends. But for him to be a receiving threat and a blocking tight end the way he is, right. It's such a combination, and it takes out players like Micah Parsons. Not saying he's going to do it, but when you have Trent Williams, you can kind of put him on an island out there. You can kind of let him handle himself, but then if you see Trent maybe start to have a slip a little bit, put Kittle out there on him or a Kyle Juszczyk, neutralized. Tank Lawrence, I haven't seen him do anything in the Tampa Bay game. He's getting paid $100 million for what? I'm sorry.
Lawrence does a good job.
Linebackers, and he's not the player this year that he can be.
I like Leighton Vander Esch. I think he's
for
good.
What?
But
he protects his neck because of his injuries, and he doesn't play 100%.
Yeah. But he's a smart player. But the one player on Dallas' defense not enough people talk about is Anthony Barr. Anthony Barr is a versatile linebacker. He's been in the league a long time, been a damn good linebacker for a long time, and he's a dual linebacker. And he kind of creates some issues for offensive lines because he can blitz and he can rush the passer, which actually creates one-on-one matches for Lawrence, for Dante Fowler, for Micah Parsons. So it creates some issues and allows some players to drop and blitz and all that. So they have some speed up front that does create problems. And the 49ers offensive line is not – it's good, but it's not – unpenetrable. They can beat them, and McGlinchey struggles with speed. So I think Dallas can get after the quarterback. Miami did. Miami got after Purdy a lot, but Purdy actually gets rid of the ball. So it's going to be up to Dallas's back end to when Dallas gets pressure to actually make plays. They're going to have to create some confusion for the 7th-round rookie. Now, here's where Kimmel's point comes in. Can Dan Quinn create the back end confusion to mess Purdy up, or will Kyle Shanahan scheme it to where there is no messing it up and makes it really easy, and guys like Debo and Ayuk just make plays? Because, I mean, stopping Ayuk from catching Debo from catching the ball is one thing, but tackling him and stopping him from playing after the catch, that's a whole nother ball game. That offense
Ayuk
is so
been tearing it up too. Ayuk has been
Yep, Ayuk's been getting open down the seam, and I love it. But that's the thing. Get the ball out of Purdy's hand quick. Give it to Debo. Give it to CMC. 5-yard pass out the Ayuk. Let him do something like anything. Just get the ball out of his hands because you don't want him to make a mistake.
And
their secondary's dinged up too for Dallas. That's another. Like they have multiple injuries that they had guys go out with this year, and they had to bring in guys like Xavier Rhodes, and he did not look like the Xavier Rhodes we remember. Shanahan knows how to exploit that.
Well, also, let's look on the flip side, Dallas or the 49ers have had a lot of injuries in their secondary. They've been banged up in their secondary. Their safeties have played phenomenal, but their secondary has had weaknesses because of injuries. So, in all honesty, I think that it's going to be a tight game. But
Dallas doesn't have the offensive line San Francisco does.
No, I think ultimately, I think San Fran wins. But I really understand and respect Kimball's point that a 7th-round rookie, it is hard to fathom him winning because, I mean, we've only had 2 7th-round rookies start in a playoff game ever, and they both were this year and both due to injury. So we'll see what happens. I mean, like it first time for everything. I do think 49ers win, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. But let's go back to the AFC.
He's calm and cool, man. I'm sorry. The one thing I noticed about Purdy, he's calm and cool, collected. He lets water roll off his back. He doesn't get bothered. If he does throw a bad pass, he forgets about it.
He was Mr. Irrelevant.
He doesn't get hung up like other rookies do.
He's a 7th-round rookie. The way he's looking at it, what do I have to lose?
I wish Skylar thought like that. This guy's like, oh no, turtle shell.
I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. He did. Then he gets to the regular season. He's like freaking out.
Exactly. He's just like, I
Skylar's
feel like
still seeing Tremaine Edmonds in his nightmares.
Gosh,
that's what's happening. Yeah, you want it?
I would too. That's a damn good linebacker.
Let's see.
I mean,
first
we're just talking about cool Tremaine Edmonds or Terrell Edmonds. I mean, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Joe. Let's talk about Joe Cool versus Josh Allen. I mean,
Bengals all day.
Yeah, I think the Bengals win. I thought they would have won, but I mean, it's going to be a fun ass game though. What do you think, Kim? What do you think of that game?
This one's the hardest game for me. I want to go Cincinnati. I think they're a better football team. I think they're playing better, obviously, right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that Monday night game, if it played out, the Bengals were going to win that game, in my opinion. So. But I'm going Buffalo here. I'm going Buffalo.
Yep.
I'm going Buffalo. Right? Yeah. I mean, I just believe in them. I think that everyone's behind them. They are America's team
Yeah,
now. I do believe that they will ride off that at home.
that's
Um,
fair.
but I want Cincinnati to win. I really do. But I just think in the end, we're gonna see a Josh Allen, and I'm not gonna spoil my other one, but we'll see those guys face off again.
Well, so
I
I like Josh
go ahead.
Allen. I actually am a fan of Josh Allen. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm watching Buffalo barely win against Miami and a third string quarterback. This is a whole different beast in Cincinnati. This is Chase, Boyd, Higgins,
Oh yeah.
and the Bills are down Micah Hyde for the season, Don Von Miller for the season. Those are two perennial defensive players for them that matter a big bunch. They're still got plenty of talent, but it's nowhere near what those two guys are and what Cincinnati has. And Hayden Hurst has been starting to catch some fire here lately as that fourth option. Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine. And plus Cincinnati got about 3 or 4 players back on their defense 3 weeks before the playoffs. Trey Hendrickson came back and has made a ton of difference on this edge for Cincinnati again. And you guys got guys like Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, just being smash mouth linebackers. And Logan Wilson is one of my favorite draft picks that I wanted the Packers to get so much, but he out of Wyoming, the kid is a stud for Cincinnati. I mean, he's never mentioned in those top linebackers for young guys.
But he should be. He really should be.
Logan Wilson's a stud. I love him. And I just think Bengals are going to – I'm not going to say they're going to blow out, but I think they're going to win by a touchdown. I just don't –
Yeah.
I feel especially Josh Allen. I'm not trying to take up too much time. I'm sorry. Josh Allen.
Right.
I saw that glazed look last week. And Cincinnati, their defensive coordinator likes to run some blitzes and get in their face. If they can get that to Josh and kind of get that I'm irritated feeling again, then Cincinnati is a team that likes to ride the waves of the game and just end off on the beach, and then they take the W home. They don't get flustered.
Nope. And a lot of it is because of their quarterback. And it is so hard to count Joe Burrow out ever. He doesn't waver. He's always calm. He's always confident. Doesn't matter. Even in the Super Bowl when they were down and I know he threw the interception, but he was calm and collected. And he's not afraid to throw the football. And I know nobody talks about the Bengals defense being one of the better defenses in the NFL. Their defensive line is so good. Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, Logan Wilson. Their linebackers are good. Their front seven is stout. Yep, and then Jesse Bates is the stud in the defensive backfield. Like their corners are good enough. And they're good enough because the pass rush and the linebackers blitz and it's effective and they get home. They're heavy-handed. They win one-on-one matchups. They're good players. The Bengals draft really well, and people don't realize like how good they are. Like they've had guys like this in the past with Justin Smith back in the day, so they know how to find talent. They always do. But Joe Burrow puts him on another level, and then he got all the weapons that they have. Jamar Chase, who was my number one receiver in 2021. Josh, they lost to the Dolphins first, but the first time, but. Back to the Bengals, like the T. Higgins, like he's going to be a little motivated. I feel bad for him having to play the Bills again because he took a lot of blame for what happened to Hamlin, and everybody reassured him Josh Allen. And this is why I like Josh Allen, the class act, to say nobody should be blaming Higgins because it was a complete accident. Yep. Higgins was playing football. Hamlin was playing football, and an accident happened. Like something unexpected happened. So Higgins, I'm sure, is going to be someone to watch in this game. And that offense, like Hayden Hurst, Joe Mixon, who's underrated. I mean, I know the offensive line's a problem. The Bengals are going to be a tough team to beat. I think the Bengals win this game. I think they win it in a tight one, like a last-minute field goal kind of game, like 31-28. But I also think the Bengals defense will be the difference because the Bills offense has been really good. But the Dolphins just showed that you can rattle Josh Allen. You can get after him. And their offensive line is not great. Josh Allen is their offense. And their run game struggles. I think the biggest hiccup for the Bills is lack of run game, lack of ability to run the ball at will. So I think the Bengals win this game, and I think the Bills are very mistake prone right now, and it's shown over and over again. If you force them into mistakes, Bengals win this game in my opinion, 31-28.
Miami analysis didn't come in there at all, did it? I said the Miami analysis didn't show up in the pick of the Bengals, did it?
No, because they beat us, so it doesn't matter. I think the Bengals are a good football team. So
if you had a choice between 4th and 5. Pick any quarterback you want. It doesn't matter. This isn't we're Diggs, Chase. Who do you want your target? What receiver do you want? 4th and 5. Who wants it more? That's just a random question.
God. Oh my God.
Now, Diggs, people think Diggs all day long, but Chase has come through on some 4th down catches I've seen this year with the Bengals, and my God, the cojones just go up and get that ball, and I'm like.
But Diggs had that Minnesota Miracle catch, like, oh my God.
Yeah, they have a banner for
you know what? My gut is saying Diggs. I'm going to say Diggs just because he's so pissed off from losing games. I would take Diggs because he's.
I'm taking Diggs.
Give me the young blood. Give me Chase. Give me the
I don't think you can go wrong with either. But you know what? With Diggs,
it's such like those 1A, 1B type questions.
Yeah. I thought he was going to go quarterback round. Like, oh yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah, well shit, man.
No,
receiver, damn. Yeah, give me Diggs. Diggs.
Yeah, I'm taking Diggs too. He's just angry. He's just mad.
Yeah.
Like every game you watch him, it doesn't matter if they're losing. Like he's pissed. He's very mad. I'm like, all right, I want the dog. I want that guy on my team.
Yeah,
he wants to prove what Minnesota lost, and that's what he said that in multiple interviews. He's like, I want to show them, make them realize what they lost.
Yeah, and then they get Justin Jefferson, who's been phenomenal. But now that makes Diggs even more like, all right, fine. You're still going to see me. You're still going to see me go. Chase is not a marshmallow.
I don't even know what that means, Josh.
He's not soft at all. Chase is that dog.
He is not Stay Puft.
I like mine,
but
burnt. Anyway,
let's go.
Too. Put them on graham crackers, little Hershey's.
Yeah.
Damn.
Go back to the NFC.
Hey, let's not get on food. I can talk about food all day long. Wrestling.
That's a whole other show. That's an off-season show. Let's get back to
guys in wrestling. There we go.
Let's go close to my area here. Let's go to the Philly Giants. Eagles and Giants. Eagles, yeah. You know what though? I want to know: did that bye week hurt Philly, or does that help Philly get healthy?
No,
because the Giants are hot, the Eagles are not.
You guys are missing it, man. You guys aren't picking. Well, hold on. You got Hakeem Nicks out there, right? Isaiah Hodgins. You got Plaxico Burress out there, right?
Watch him do it. Watch him do it.
You got the second coming of, I can't think of a Steve Young. Let's just call Daniel Jones.
Kimmel is TV
12. Look, how can we? No, in all seriousness, I'm picking the Eagles. But how could you pick them?
I told you he was going to do it.
No, but how could you pick them going? Yeah, for sure. Because we all thought this all year for the Giants. There's no way they can keep on winning. There's no way that defense can keep playing so well. There's no way Daniel Jones could do this. No. They keep doing it over and over and over.
It's the matchup.
And Daniel Jones, his fumbling has gotten better. He's become a dual threat quarterback.
He just jinxed the hell out of him. He's going to have 4 of them this weekend.
But he's been great. He's been making great decisions. Look, I think we brought this up on Beer and Sports. I don't want to hear nobody talk about they don't have receivers. Daniel Jones is throwing it to Isaiah Hodgins, Richie James, and Darius Slayton, and Daniel Bellinger. Like, I love Bellinger. He's probably my favorite receiver, tight end out of all that group I just named, but they're nobodies. I don't want to hear Aaron Rodgers cry because he has Alan Lazard and Christian Watson.
Make let him cry, okay? Let him cry.
He
cares about more MVPs and Super Bowls.
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
and I don't blame him for that.
Aaron Rodgers is a jerk.
I love it. He's my favorite player of all time, seriously. And I would pick. I thought about that. I would pick MVPs over Super Bowls.
Put on lipstick now that you slapped me in the face. Don't you do it?
You know what though? No, I'm not taking Eagles confidently in that at all. Giants rested players knowing that they couldn't change their seeding in that final game, and the Eagles, with some starters back in, still struggled to finish that game out. I honestly think that the Giants are going to give this a run. I think the Giants are going to fight all the way to the end of this game, and Daboll has done a phenomenal job. I think he definitely is in the running for Coach of the Year. I told you guys at the beginning of the season, well, on the show, that I thought the Giants were going to surprise people, and I thought they're going to start out strong, but I kind of thought they would fade near the end and have like a winning season but not make the playoffs. So they've exceeded what I even expected of them. I think they're going to give the Eagles one hell of a fight. I'm curious to see how the Eagles respond after having a week off. Did they get better? Did they take advantage of that time off? or did that time off hurt them and they're rusty? That's what I want to know, because that last week was almost they looked rusty. And is that bye week going to help, or is it going to make it worse? Are they going to look even more rusty and get upset? I think the Eagles win, but I don't think it's a pretty game at all. I think it's going to be a close, hard fought game, but I think the Eagles at the end squeak it out. I think it's like I'm saying like 20-17, 20-19 kind of game. I'm not saying anything high scoring at all.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so I know I keep on bringing this situation up, but what happened last time we saw Jalen Hurts in a playoff game? It was pretty brutal, right? It was pretty bad. It was against Tampa Bay. It was really, really bad. I'm not saying that he's going to do this again, but I'm really big on quarterbacks that produce in the playoffs, because we always get the same good ones, and we always get the guys who always choke, like Rodgers in the AFC or NFC title games. Which, again, he's my favorite player. No disrespect.
No disrespect.
Dave almost choked on his beer. Like, I wish that wasn't true.
No. Wingate wants.
I just wish we could make it.
If Cowboys win, he doesn't get Philly. That's why.
As a Dolphins fan, I wish we could make it far enough to choke.
What if this team? What if Jalen Hurts is our new choke? What if he's our new Phillip Rivers, who just can't get over the hump, or whoever? What if? I'm not saying.
Hold on. I'm going to say this: Phillip Rivers dealt with years of having barely any defense around him too, playing through torn ACLs, and this guy put everything on the line to win those games and have his freaking team just fall apart.
I know. I understand.
I get what he's saying though. Like,
But I'm just having fun. But seriously, I don't think that he is that kind of player. I think the Eagles do beat the Giants, like I said. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout. There's no way. I think the Giants are playing too good right now, way too good, and they're inspired.
Yeah, I don't see a blowout. And like I said, I don't see this as an easy walkover win for the Eagles either. And I don't think the Eagles take this as, it's just the Giants. No, they're taking this as this team that has a number. They're not easy to beat. Like we struggle with them the last week of the season, and we need to watch every bit of film we can to make sure we're ready for this team. And I honestly think that I feel like Minnesota would have been an easier team for the Eagles to beat than the Giants, in my opinion. So, and it's nothing worse. And let's look at the Dolphins versus the Bills. The Bills should have ran the Dolphins over, with all due respect, right? With all the injuries they've had. But division rival, they know each other really well, right? The Dolphins hung tight, came back and could have won the game. So the Giants very well could win the game against the Eagles. I just think the Eagles do end up winning it. Like division rivals, you just can't overlook it because you just don't know. That's just my opinion. And I honestly think that my chiropractor thinks that the Super Bowl runs through the NFC East. It very well could. Dallas upsets the 49ers. It's going to run through the NFC East, so we'll see what happens.
You guys see that question? The Rivers? Eli?
Does Rivers win a Super Bowl with the Giants? Does Eli win a Super Bowl with the Chargers?
No, if Rivers went to the Chargers, I mean, if Rivers stayed with the Giants and had those weapons that he had, the running backs, the defenses, he'd have 2 rings.
Yeah, I agree with
Rivers. Yeah. Rivers is a much better quarterback in his prime than Eli Manning was. All day long.
And let's look at something else. The Giants actually wanted Ben Roethlisberger originally. So imagine if he went to the Giants, what happens then? Steelers get Phillip Rivers, or do they get Eli?
A lot more rape cases and get charged in New York City.
That's very true.
Just gonna say it.
There's a lot of questions there. And
so
Josh's point. Josh, you brought up the point of hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, and in this case, yeah, it is. They swept them, but can they keep that up? It's not easy. Go ahead, Dave.
I see Wingate's little thing he's doing. He's rooting for the Giants, so if the Cowboys win, he doesn't have to play Philly. Don't play little games like you, Wingate. Listen,
guys, make sure you like, subscribe, please.
Okay? The beard of knowledge is here. You don't have to try and do it in the chat. Okay. Anyway, no, I respect the Giants. Like you said, they exceeded expectations, but their starting linebacker is Jalen Smith. That's not good. You got guys that will do crossing routes on you with Sirianni, running backs out in the flat. Jalen Smith will not get to those. I promise. He's going to be exploited. Giants had the benefit of facing a depleted offensive line in the interior from Minnesota. Kirk Cousins was getting ravaged by Dexter Lawrence all day long. Philly has a good offensive line. They get Lane Johnson back. Travis Kelce still,
Yeah.
not Travis Kelce. His brother.
Jason.
There you go. Yeah, he's in the middle. I mean, come on. Mailata's still out of left tackle. Like, they still got a good offensive line. The Giants are just going to do what they're going to go to.
Howie Roseman deserves a medal for his offensive line. He's had he's had so many different offensive linemen through the years, and they can just continue to be good.
Let's see. Dallas with teabag Philly. Gardner Minshew almost beat you guys. It's only because Gardner Minshew sucks. That's why Philly lost the second game. Didn't you guys lose with Cooper Rush too? Just saying. You're your little savior, Cooper Rush.
Although, honestly, I would not mind watching because I grew up in the Philly market, more in the Baltimore market now. But no, I'm just saying I would actually love that. My two best friends, one's an Eagles fan, one's a Cowboys fan, and they used to go out all the time. I would love to see, just to watch the world burn, an NFC championship of the Cowboys and Eagles. It would be so fun to watch Dak versus Jalen Hurts. I actually think it would be really fun championship, and it might be more fun for me personally than the Super Bowl because I have nothing at stake and just watch all my friends on Facebook just trying to go at each other as Eagles and Cowboys fans.
No, Dallas being in that championship game won't happen. Jerry Jones is still alive. He sold the soul of the devil.
That's what I'm picking.
Nope. I'm going with the Eagles 35-21. I just think AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, all these guys are too many There's too many weapons compared to in that offensive line to give Jalen the time. He's got the running ability. I just don't see a hole there for the Giants to exploit. And then also on the offense, like they don't have aging Patrick Peterson that's so old when he farts, dust comes out of his ass. Like I'm sorry. They have quality. They have quality defensive backs in Philly. You have a quality safety in Philly. Like they TJ Edwards was an animal. Sorry,
and I'm going to say win or lose, even honestly in the blowout. I think the Giants and the fans can honestly sit back and say we've had one hell of a season, and Daboll is the right guy for this job, and he's going to turn it around
by far. Yeah, by far.
Yeah, and I love what he's done with Daniel Jones. Turn him into a dual threat quarterback. You know what? I absolutely love that. So. I think, honestly, I think the Giants will be back next year, and we might be talking about them as a favorite next year. But I have to agree that Dallas Philly is so hard to beat.
There's no matter what, their season's a success. Nobody thought they would get this far.
Agreed.
Not one person.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yep.
But
it's definitely something to build off of for sure. The first time head coach makes it to the playoff and either wins or is in a dogfight all the way to the end, and like maybe loses at like the last second. I hate moral victories, but you got to give hats off to a coach who took over a mess of a Giants team, won a playoff game, and then goes into a divisional round against a division rival. And if he like battles it out, that's going to be one hell of. I think it's still going to be good. I think we have really good games coming up.
Him and Peterson are my two Coach of the Year candidates. They both took the teams, went around. Oh, look at that transition! Bam,
Bobby, speak up with Peterson. You wanted Peterson.
Oh, no. Whoa.
I know.
Someone said on their Dolphins Thursday, he said, oh, yeah, you guys were picking them against lose against the Chargers. Excuse me, sir. If you remember, I've been on the Jacksonville train all year long with Lori Fitzpatrick on Duval.
I called my shot. I picked Herbert and the Chargers. I just stayed on the Herbert train just to piss off a lot of Dolphins fans.
T-Law, baby.
But listen, I think you did a good transition here. Peterson against Andy Reid, two phenomenal quarterback prospects. You know, like, who's going to win this one? The Chiefs win this one, but Andy Reid versus pupils is very successful. He's not really lost to his pupils very much, and he's had a lot of success even against McDermott. If you count him as one of his pupils, who McDermott's got his big start with Andy Reid, who also ended up firing him too. But I think Andy Reid is just such a damn good football coach. And I honestly, again, living in the Philly market, I was super excited to see him win a Super Bowl because Philly chased him out of town. And I thought they made a mistake because I thought he was a phenomenal coach and always has been. And we see that. And he gets his respect now. And now he finally goes down as one of the greatest coaches of all time, like he deserves. And I still think that run is still going. And look how magic he is with Mahomes. I think he wins. Josh, to start with you, what do you think of this game?
Well, everything you pretty much said I was going to say, but I really, really don't want the Chiefs to win, although I know they will. I love what Jacksonville is doing. I love
Absolutely.
Tony. I love Tony Khan. I want to see more Tony Khan hugs. I want to see more. I want to see him just running down and just grabbing Zay Jones again and have Zay Jones just swinging him around. It was one of the greatest things of all time. I just love. I want to see. We had that Joe Burrow moment last year where he is crowned. He is one of the elite. I want to see that with Trevor Lawrence. And for that to happen to Trevor Lawrence, he would need to win this game, I believe. And I want to see it so bad. And I think I think they can, but I don't think they will. Just for everything you said, dude, Mahomes is on a big FU tour. He's like, I don't have Tyreek. I don't fucking care. I'm going to throw bajillion touchdowns again. I don't MVS. Rodgers couldn't make you work. Well, I can't either, but hey, we're going to try. Like, he doesn't care. He's just like, throw. I'm going to make plays.
It's okay.
CEH back here. We got McKinnon back here. I don't care. We're winning this game. And that's how he plays football. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Stave. Is that it? I can't remember.
How did you come up? Stop it.
Jacksonville is. I'm calling right now, and I fully believe it. Jacksonville's going to pull the upset.
You know what? Of all the teams that have the best, I can't say had the best chance to upset, but of all the teams that could upset it, it'd be great to see Jacksonville. It would just be awesome. Nothing against Kansas City at all. Look, my cousin, rest in peace, was a huge Kansas City fan. So honestly, I have a little piece of me that like wants to see Kansas City win. And when they won a Super Bowl, it was great to see. And honestly, I always root for the underdog. So give me Jacksonville over there. I'm picking the Chiefs, but I would absolutely love. And honestly, the two Eagle coaches that were rejected from Philly that are kind of like your loss. You know what I mean? Like I would love. Ooh, wow.
You know what? I'm doing it. We're going Jacksonville. Duval.
Oh my God! I hope my buddy Aaron's watching this. He's one of the only Jacksonville fans I know.
In the words of John Henderson on my buddy Jimmy Smith's Facebook reel that I was watching, he came out there. Well, the heart of a fucking Jaguar. You got Big John Henderson round up. Get out of the way. Listen.
You remember when he used to get smacked before the game? Oh my God!
Jimmy Smith, when I did the podcast with him, he told me John Henderson in the locker room would headbutt players with their helmet on and then ask him to hit them in the face to get them fired up.
You don't remember the trainer. If you after the show, go to YouTube, Google whatever, look up John Henderson, the Jaguars, and the trainer getting smacking him, and he'll like, "Come on, Joe, that wasn't good enough." Then he'd smack him, and he'd walking out. That's what I'm talking about. He's all get that first, and his thing was get the first hit out of the way, and he get that good smack. And he was ready to go the rest of the game, and then defenses had to run against him and Marcus Stroud. Yikes! Oh my God.
Hey, Jimmy said like 600 pounds of beef. Jimmy said all day long, he goes, I am so glad I was on their team. We didn't have to go against them. Because he got to see a full force in practice all the time.
Yeah, Fred Taylor had to see that.
I want to give a shout out. I know we got hate in San Fran. Balky. I know he got hate in San Fran for being there, and you got replaced by Lynch. But if you look at what he did in this year for free agency and the draft and what he added, I mean, go look at guys like Aluakun, Fadukasi, and Darius Williams. He added Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. These are all guys he grabbed out of the market or undrafted free agent rookies and slapped in this team. And even Wingard. I love that safety Wingard. Like he's like a great value Clay Matthews. I love it.
Well, but and they got that Christian Kirk. A lot of people looked at that Christian Kirk signing as crazy. Because of how much they paid him.
About him because he was such a high paid. Yeah, I was talking about more low end free agents. Yeah, Kirk
and the low end free agents that have actually come through and were just it wasn't necessarily the best high price guys, but it was the guys that fit, that do their job, that have a role and do what they need to do. That he did. No, shout out to Trent Baalke because I have a good friend that's a 49ers fan and he couldn't stand Baalke, and Baalke and Harbaugh had a falling out. And that caused Harbaugh to leave, and then eventually Baalke left, and then it was just too much. And there's a lot of miscommunication there. But Peterson, honestly, has been a fantastic coach. I think he's proven when everybody said, "Oh, well, it was Frank Reich is why Doug Peterson, won that Super Bowl." And look, Frank Reich's a hell of a football coach, in my opinion. I think he should be a head coach again. But like Doug Peterson, honestly, is showing, hey, look, I'm a good football coach. And Bobby, our producer, he's right. He wanted Doug Peterson in Miami, and look what Doug Peterson has done with Jacksonville. He's done a fantastic job.
He would have got rid of Tua. That's what he would have done. Peterson would have got rid of Tua.
Bobby, can you throw that last Jags need a true wide receiver?
Oh yeah, it's called Calvin Ridley.
It's called Calvin Ridley. Yeah, they a lot of people forgot they traded for him, and he's going to be an asset for that football team. I'm excited for that. I think this team's going to be good.
They need a running back because I like ETN, but I'm not sure I want to rely on him. But if they get another running back to go with him,
they need a second one. Yeah. Of course, they need a second one. If they can get a Jamal Williams to come on over, and then they have that Jamal Williams and ETN combo, that'd be pretty nice. I would love that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a true stud, just someone that goes with him.
Hear me out. Exactly. Jacksonville's got money. You know what you do? Go grab Josh Jacobs and pair him with ETN.
I like the way you're thinking on that one. Holy shit. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. What's that little one really good. Where he's like,
holy shit. Like I'm telling you, Jacksonville, they're dangerous. They battled back. The Chargers, folded.
Mentally unstable.
Okay, he makes some bets on the Hard Rock app. He's mentally unstable.
Who cares if he bet on his own team?
He's not mentally unstable. Yeah, he just made a bet. He just did what the NFL does. The NFL, it's insider trading to them, but meanwhile, they're making their own bets. But whatever. Don't get me started on the
commissioner. As much as I love Zay Jones, he's more mentally unstable than Calvin Ridley. Remember we did out in Las Vegas when he got drafted? And we did the whole hotel thing, streaming high off pills and the freaking breaking glass out of windows, threatening to jump out. Calvin Ridley made a couple bets. Man. I'm trying.
Now I know why Tony Khan loves Zay Jones.
He got kicked off. The Raiders cut him after that, right? Is that what happened? Yeah, the Raiders cut him after.
The Raiders cut. The Raiders I think let him walk, but he was suspended for it for a couple games by the NFL, if I remember correctly.
He's bounced around the league a little bit because he was with the Raiders and Bills.
Actually, when he was drafted by the Bills. Yeah, he was drafted by the Bills. He did it with the Bills, I think, that hotel scenario. Raiders picked him up. He hit on a couple good, decent passes and showed enough flashes to be kind of paid. And Jacksonville went and scooped him up, and that's what it was. It was Buffalo he was with when he did that.
Well, Buffalo, he was like their number one target for a little bit too. So, but I forgot about Calvin Ridley.
They came out of Eastern Carolina, right?
Yeah, ECU.
He was an Eastern Carolina Pirates. All right. Jackson, man, this Jacksonville.
The Ridley did take time off for depression, but that's
he was okay. This is where
that's a little different.
That's not mentally unstable. I hate that narrative. If you have depression, it's okay to reach out if you have problems. G-Man the Dolphin, you're dealing with two guys who are veterans who deal with stuff of their own outside of this show, who have said, what if we went to go and say we're in depression or we're having thoughts of suicide or our brothers and sisters are doing that? Sorry if I'm going off a little bit, but this is over the line with me. Just because you're in depression doesn't mean you're mentally unstable. That is 100% wrong take right there. That doesn't need to be said.
So, I mean, first, G-Man the Dolphin, we do appreciate your comments and jumping in. I really appreciate that. I don't think he's mentally unstable in that sense, and hard to rely on. I understand your point. He was taking time off of football. I think also, I wonder if it was a little bit of that gambling thing that caused that depression, and you wonder if he's taking
his wife. That's what it was.
So see, back to what we were talking about before.
Divorce problems, a child custody,
and
it's
again,
what it
was. What I say, like you can't be mentally focus on that, but once that aspect is over, you can jump back into it. And I think this time off of football will be good for him. And honestly, that's kind of exciting to watch him, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. This offense is going to be exciting. And the other aspect too, and I wish Lori was here to kind of explain this a little more. Their defense is so young and talented. They have a lot of talent on that defensive side of the ball, and I think they're up and coming. But with that said, I want the Jaguars to win. I think the Chiefs win. So, I think the Chiefs win that one. Yeah. What do you got? Josh, you're going Jags? You're going Jags on this one?
You know what? Jags, yes. I'm going Duval. I love it. But come on. Yes, yeah, Jags. Of course. Jags win 31.
I love it.
31-30.
Jags. I love it.
Well,
yes,
well,
we
look,
don't
Dallas,
have to all agree.
Dallas isn't an upset. That's gonna happen. Like, that's clear
that's
as day.
fine. I just love when we're not all on the same page because it creates diversity and creates conversation. I love it. Dave, who are you going with here?
I'm calling Jacksonville 38-33. I think Casey tries to back down, tries to get one last drive, and Mahomes makes an untimely mistake no one expects of him and throws an interception and gets picked off. Game over.
Are you guys going to make me change my pick?
Dude, we're going Sunshine.
Say Doug Peterson is going to upset Andy Reid?
Sunshine.
And they're going to go to the AFC. We're going to see Sunshine versus Joe Cool in the AFC Championship. Is that what's going to happen right now?
The future of the AFC has shown.
We're going to see 2020 first overall pick versus 2021 first overall pick in the AFC Championship?
Yes.
I'm calling my shot right now. Jaguars win in the upset. I'm changing it.
We just take a Jaguars sweep.
I'm taking it. I'm taking the sweep. I'm taking the Jags.
Oh, man. We are hyped. Let's go. Let's go.
What?
I'm all about
I'm still not taking Dallas. Josh can take Dallas all he wants. I'm not doing that. I will never pick the star in the playoffs.
Dallas.
It's like a burnt tattoo on my skin now. I'd have to hide the rest of my life if I had that.
All right, guys. So that's the playoff wrap up. Thank you, Dave, for the news. Josh Kimmel, thank you for joining us in the offseason. I want you to come back.
Actually, always welcome.
If you want to come back anytime, you're welcome. But we definitely got to do some wrestling talk on Huddle Up and WAIT here soon. So with that said, that's it for us, guys. Thank you. Make sure to like and subscribe to Huddle Up and WAIT and all of our amazing Fins Talk Sports Network shows, including Beer and Sports, one of the best shows. I used to be on it. I've guest on it. Oh, Josh are great guys to watch. They're fun. Please, thank you all guys for watching and tuning in. Until next time, that's it for us. Later.